Okay, Jason Mumo, JM on the Fly, and today we're going to show you what I call my craft fur, my free craft fur fly. The reason I call it free is because I tie all these extended craft fur flies that come back over the top, and you use all long fibers. And when you pull that out, you end up with a lot of short fibers. So the neat part about this is, you take, whatever color you want craft fur, you snip it, you pull out the long fibers, and you keep all the short stuff. So I just keep stacking that and stacking that and stacking that. And of course, after making several of them, you end up with a lot of extra. So what we do is I take that shorter craft fur and I turn it into brushes, just like this. And several different colors, several different styles, there's all kinds of colors. As you can see in the fly that I have in front of you, you get to make up these beautiful flies. And the neat part is, when you make them up, you could add whatever head you want. So there's a fly. Again, just a little bit of tailing that we use for long. And then it's a brush. This one's a yellow brush with a mask. This one, yellow. There's a little bit of yellow in there. And there's a white tail, white brush, yellow brush, and then a light brown brush. Beautiful looking flies. In fact, let me zoom in on those so I can show you a little bit more on the flies. But the colors that you get are absolutely incredible. And I'm just going to zoom in on this fly. This is the one I just call the clown fly, just for pure whatever, shits and giggles, I guess. But that shows you, okay, so we got a couple different color of tail. So that was the only long fiber I tied. And then we have pink brush. I have the cerise, pink, cerise, and red, in the front for a collar. And we got a bunch of different colors of tail, so that just makes it a neat looking fly. But in practical purposes, here's a bunch of flies. And you can see how nice these flies are as far as color combinations. We got cream and brown, cream and chartreuse, tan and red, tan and blue, like the light green, blue collar. Same thing here, light green, blue collar, dark head, light tan, red collar, with a brown collar right up against the head, white and chartreuse, and then white, pink, and brown. There's a good little combinations of the different colors that you could tie with this. And of course, you have the choice of either putting that on or putting the metal steel mask on, or the regular clear fish mask, depending on if you want them to sink or not. And let me show you how we tie this. Very simple tie. And like I said, it's free, because this is all free material that you would normally just throw away after making those craft fur flies that you make the brushes out of. So let me get a little light on the situation here. I'm going to come in with and I like Danville Fine Mono. I like it the best. I like it way better than this is Vivus. I don't like this stuff. This Vivus Mono is just, they have two sizes. One is this, which I think is way too heavy, which is a 2mm, and one is the 1mm, which is way too little. They just don't have a nice even size. So I'm using this because I'm out of Danville, to tell you the truth, to do this video. But if I had Danville Fine Mono, I'd be using that, but I do not have it. So we're going to come in, I guess we're going to go, let's go with a tan tail. And then we'll use the tan brush and maybe add a little color and just show you how we do that. So basically, I'm going to pick out some long fibers for my tailing. And that's just a matter of snipping it off the fur. I'm going to pull that just to show you how I do that. Keep this little chunk, because we may add a little bit to it. And comb out your tails, And I like to snip the bottom so I have a nice straight line. So I have an end point, I guess we would call it. Okay, so they're not trailing off into everything. You set your vise, the spring on your vise, so you get your length. So I want that resting just on them spring like that, and that will be my length. Okay, and it ends up giving me about 2 times the shank width. Okay, ends up giving me about two times the shank width, and that's about correct. We're going to put one wrap underneath just to hike that tail up. We'll get rid of this excess. Then we'll come back to our tan again, and I'm just going to reach in and pick out the longest fibers. And again, this is the piece, this is the piece I'm using, this is the piece that's too short. Again, I'm going to set that on a pile, and it will end up making one of these brushes, which we're going to use. So we don't need to throw anything away. We even get to make some brushes out of what's left of this. And it doesn't matter how big your brushes end up being, because you really only use a couple wraps of each, and I'll show you that here very shortly. Okay, so this one here, I just happen to have a whole lot of tan. So I got a whole lot of tan, and if you can see in this brush, I added maybe a little bit of SF fibers. See, there's a couple little crystal-y colors in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in, we'll snip off the wire, and I'm going to tie this brush in right here behind the tie-in point of the other one. Remember, this is all wire that's wrapped around to hold these together in the brush. Going to take our brush, and as we wrap around, we're going to pull our fibers back just like that, and we're going to comb them back as we go front, put a couple wraps of this in just like that, and depending on how dense it is, depends on how tight you want the wraps. I'm looking at my fly. I'm looking at how much I want on that fly. You can wrap over top of it if you'd like. Snip that out. Again, we're going to take our pliers, and we're going to turn that little piece of wire, and we're going to turn that into the shank just like that, and then just wrap back over it a little bit just like that. Okay, take your brush, and we're going to just completely comb this out, and you see what that looks like. Beautiful, beautiful tan flies. That tan flows right into that tan tail. Excellent. Next, we could add a little bit of color. So depending on what you want, we could add a little bit of, here's a nice olive, and that's really heavy. You see how thick that brush is? That tells me that I'm only going to do one wrap, because I don't need more than one wrap, because it's so heavy of a brush. And that's what I'm saying. You got to kind of make the call on this stuff. So as I wrap it one time around like this, okay, I'm combing back a lot of them fibers, and I'm going to tie it off. That was only one wrap, because this brush happens to be tied very, very dense. See how thick that is? So we only need one tie, or one wrap. Again, you have that little metal wire sticking up. We're going to roll that right into the shank. We're going to also do the same thing where we wrap over top. Just a couple wraps like that, and the same process. Simply just comb that out, and you see you get a beautiful looking green over top of the tan color. And we can finish that off with, I think I have a little piece of dark over here. I did have one, maybe I don't anymore. Yeah, here's a little bit. We'll use this. Here's a little bit of a brown brush. What's left of a dark brown brush. And we'll tie that in for a collar right near the face. So I'm going to tie that in right behind the eye of the hook. And I'm going to come back, and this one I'm actually going to come on top of that wrap a little bit and then work my way front. And we're only going to get it like a wrap or so on this, just to add a little. There we go. We went one and we're going two. How about that? There we got two wraps of the darker brown. And you see that just lays back over top of the green, and you can see how neat of a fly you can make out of that. Everything in this process is exactly the same. Again, your little wire tip is sticking there, and we're going to just roll that behind the eye just like that. And that is actually, see, if you can see that metal tip, I'm going to stick it up there for you so you can see there's like a little metal tip right there. And I'm going to just continue rolling that right around there. Now it's into the shank, out of our way, and we can make a nice bead. I'm going to whip finish this right away. And I do have my whip finish over here. There we go. And we're just going to whip finish this. Doesn't have to be the prettiest, best, or whatever. It just has to be kind of there. So now you have the choice of fish mask or the metal mask. So first thing we want to do is, again, after every step, we want to comb that out. And you can see how beautiful that fly looks. I mean, it's just some beautiful colors, you know, that are going on this thing. So you can see it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous looking fly. As far as bulk, we're going to trim it out then. But for now, we're going to take some, and I'm going to put the metal eyes on this, or head. I'm going to put a little bit of glue, and this is super glue gel. Seems to be the best for this. I'm going to take a mask, weighted side down. I want this to swim just like this with the hook down. We're going to lay this right over the top and in place, and you just push that in to reveal the eye of the hook, just like that. Okay, and now we could go with, actually, in this case, I'm going to use the fine Vivus to sort of set my mask in place, and that's wrapped right in the front. And I'm going to come right in and whip finish that in. Once that glue dries, I don't think you'll have a problem with it. You probably don't even need to do this step, but anything to make this thing secure. Again, there's nothing stronger than this fly as far as that goes. My next step that I do is I'm going to trim out the bottom. So everything, of course, was combed out nicely. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to come straight in along the bottom of the hook shank, like that. Okay, and we just, you see how you just clear out those fibers, cut them right away, and now you can see that beautiful looking minnow color coming right in. We have a gorgeous fly. We really do. We have a gorgeous looking fly. I mean, that just looks like any minnow that you would see in the water. All we need to do is pop a couple eyes on that, and you have everything you need. So we're going to place a teeny little speck of glue here in the eye socket, and again, you could turn this upside down and make sure everything's right in line with the hook. This one looks really good just the way it's sitting. Put a teeny little drop right there in the eye. I'm going to grab a pin. We're going to pick up an eye. Best way to handle these eyes, just take yourself a little straight pin and come in underneath and pick up an eye off of the sheet and just simply lay that in place. Very small speck of glue, and you can see what that looks like. Come to the other side, do the same thing. Nice little speck of glue. Doesn't take a lot. We will again pick up our other eye and we will lay that in place right there and put that in that socket, and you could just push that in place just like that. And that is the JM free craft fur. I call it the free craft fur fly because basically, like I said, all the extra material that you ended up with for free out of these brushes basically put that whole thing together. So again, mix your colors, mix your everything. When this thing swims in the water, it's absolutely awesome. And that is the JM free craft fur fly. JM on the fly, and I'm out of here.